Running with those racing thoughts. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Recovery Classroom. My name is Drew. I am a recovering alcoholic. I'm still sober, and I'm still enjoying each and every single day. I've never met somebody who's ever regretted getting clean and sober. One of the topics that came in, I saw this topic, and I said, man, I need to take time to think about this, but I can definitely relate. And truth be told, I think anyone who suffers from addiction can definitely relate to this topic. It's this idea of how do we stop those racing thoughts that come into our brain. We have to understand the context of what we're talking about. Whenever we were drinking and drugging, we were actively using our drug of choice. I know I would say, hey, I have to drink just to slow down those racing thoughts. I think the greatest analogy out there, most accurate analogy, is this idea of a little metal hamster wheel in my brain, and there's a hamster on it, just running just in circles. That's what my racing thoughts felt like. And whenever I decided to get clean and sober, and I stopped drinking, came off alcohol, man, it was like somebody hit that hamster with a triple shot of espresso with frothy milk and whipped cream. That hamster took off. I understand to the newcomer who's been using drugs and alcohol to help slow down that hamster wheel, those racing thoughts that they experience. I understand that person getting overwhelmed whenever they do get clean and sober, because it makes sense, right? I mean, our hormones are all over the place. The neurotransmitters in our brain are resetting. The enzymes are just all over the place as well. So it makes sense. All those racing thoughts, it feels like, hell, that hamster just got hit with a shot of adrenaline. So what do we do? How do we cope? Matter of fact, that's the whole point of recovery, is learning how to deal and how to cope with life. For me personally, I look back, one of the things that I started doing that I still do to this day, and it may not be for everybody. I want to stress this right here, right now. I'm not telling you to go do this. This is just something I do personally. But I think you can take the concept that I'm going to try to illustrate. I think you can take the concept and apply it to some other thing in your life to help you cope. One of the things I started doing right off the bat was I'd go get on a treadmill for 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour. And I would isolate myself. I would secure myself, make sure I was safe, right? When I wanted being on a treadmill, I really don't have I'm not in jeopardy of hurting myself, not unless I fall off and pull a hamstring or something. But I would be on a treadmill, getting myself on a treadmill, and I'd start out walking, and then eventually work it up to running. And what I would do, instead of trying to stop those racing thoughts, I would allow those racing thoughts to just run wide open. Because again, I'm on a treadmill. What's the worst that can happen? And I'm talking about these racing thoughts of, I worried about my job, worried about my bills, worried about my yard, or worried about my car, my kids. These are the type of racing thoughts I would just let run wide open. What am I going to do in this situation? What am I going to do in that situation? Et cetera, et cetera. I would get on that treadmill and I would just run. And I still run to this day. This is still one of the ways, one of the things that I do to help cope and process and prioritize those racing thoughts. And that's the key there. See, for me, and this is why I still do it, human brains have the unique ability to prioritize breathing over anything else. So while I'm on a treadmill and I'm sucking wind, I am sucking air, man. I'm trying like hell to breathe, but I'm also allowing my brain to run wide open, thinking about, oh, shit, I got to get home and cut the grass today, or the car's broke down, or maybe the kids got in trouble at school, or whatever. Instead of, while I'm thinking about all those things, my brain is going to, hey, Drew, you know what? You need to breathe. My brain has a unique ability to prioritize things. And by the time I'm done with my run, I look up and I realize, hey, all those things I just thought of, well, they must not really be all that too terribly important, because my brain was worried about me breathing, right? Exercise for me is just one of the great ways to help me cope with all those racing thoughts. Just because I got clean and sober doesn't mean those racing thoughts slow down. No, they're still there, I assure you. I use exercise, I run to help deal with that. Another way that I deal with those racing thoughts is prayer and meditation, finding a quiet place in my house during a quiet time and just letting those racing thoughts run and praying and connecting with my higher power and letting them offer me guidance or intuition on how to proceed. I think the problem becomes we try to stop those racing thoughts, but when we're thinking about the job or the bills or whatever other responsibilities we got to take care of. I think the problem is we try to stop those racing thoughts rather than trying to sort through them and prioritize which ones we need to address first. encourage you. Don't hesitate. Matter of fact, I think the best course is always to talk to a qualified medical professional, therapist, counselor, a doctor even, about those racing thoughts. They may be able to offer some help and guidance as well. So don't rule that out either. So again, for me personally, it could be, it's running. For you, it could be walking. It could be reading a book. It could be just talking to somebody, sitting in a chair in a big circle in a room, talking to somebody. It could be picking up the phone. Don't try to stop those racing thoughts, but we want to make sure that we allow those, we allow ourselves to safely deal with those racing thoughts that we experience. So with that being said, I'm out of time. Thank you guys for letting me come in and share 5 to 10 minutes of your day with you. You guys absolutely keep me sober, and I could not be any more appreciative. If you like the content of these video messages on the morning monologues here on Recovery Classroom, please feel free to like and share with your friends and on all of your other social media channels. Also, if you do have a topic you'd like to hear discussed, feel free to drop it in one of the comments or just post it on our timeline, Recovery Classroom timeline. We'll take a look at it and see what we can do. We'll be talking again soon, guys. Remember, you can't get drunk if you don't take that first drink.